Diddy Combs, who he has ruled will spend 50 months in prison. So that's just over 4 years in prison for his crimes. Sean Combs has already been in prison for just over a year. So that means he will spend a further 3 years in prison.
It's been only a few days since Sean Diddy Combs was officially sentenced, and already the chaos that followed him outside has found its way behind the iron bars of Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. Reports began surfacing late last night that the disgraced music mogul had been attacked inside the facility, allegedly by another inmate. And what's most alarming isn't just the assault itself, but the eerie silence surrounding it. No official statement, no footage, no confirmation. Just whispers leaking out of a prison that's known for keeping its secrets buried deep. For someone like Diddy, who once ruled the world of hip-hop business and nightlife, this was never just a fall from grace. It was a full collapse of an empire built on influence, intimidation, and mystery. And now, that empire's former king is living through the kind of nightmare no fame or fortune can protect him from. Sources close to the investigation have claimed that the altercation wasn't random. It wasn't just another inmate losing his temper. It was a message, and the question haunting everyone watching this case unfold is simple: a message from who? According to early reports, the attack took place in one of the higher security wings of the MDC, the same section where high-profile inmates are often kept separated from the general population. Yet somehow, the alleged assailant managed to get close enough to confront Diddy during what's being described as a recreation period. The fight, if we can even call it that, lasted less than a minute, but witnesses said the tension had been building for days. Some even say Diddy looked nervous, withdrawn, constantly glancing over his shoulder, as if he knew something was coming. Now, we have to ask ourselves, what exactly did he know? If you've been following this story from the beginning, you already know that Diddy's downfall wasn't just about his crimes, it was about the people he had power over, and the secrets he kept on them. Former bodyguard Gene Deal warned the world months ago, saying, "They only took Diddy down because of what he had, not what he did." He was talking about the tapes, hundreds of hours of recorded footage from Diddy's infamous parties, allegedly showing some of the world's most powerful people in compromising situations. So when an attack like this happens right after sentencing, you can't ignore the possibility that someone on the outside wants to make sure Diddy stays quiet. Because if even half of what's rumored to be on those tapes is true, Diddy isn't just another celebrity in prison, he's a liability. The Bureau of Prisons has officially stated that there was a minor altercation and that no inmates sustained serious injuries. But if there's one thing we've learned about this case, it's that official statements rarely tell the whole story. Multiple insiders have said that Diddy was moved to the medical wing shortly after the incident, though the reason was never made clear. Some claim he was treated for a concussion. Others insist the attack was meant as a warning, not a beating. And here's where things start to get strange. Just hours before the alleged incident, several social media accounts tied to prison employees mysteriously disappeared. One whistleblower account that had been posting inside information about high-profile inmates at MDC suddenly went dark. Then, an online post surfaced, quickly deleted, claiming that the feds don't want Diddy talking to anyone. Coincidence? Maybe. But in this story, coincidences are rare. We've already seen what happened with others who tried to expose what Diddy knew. Former associates have gone missing, gone silent, or suddenly retracted their statements. Now, with Diddy behind bars and cut off from his network, the stakes have never been higher. Was this attack just prison politics? Or was it part of something much bigger, something designed to remind him that even here, behind concrete walls and locked doors, he's not safe? Because the truth is, when someone has held the kind of secrets Diddy has, and when those secrets involve billionaires, politicians, and celebrities, their punishment doesn't end with the sentencing. Sometimes it's just beginning. The news of the attack spread through the corridors of the Metropolitan Detention Center like wildfire. But what's interesting isn't how fast it spread, it's how quickly it was shut down. Inmates who witnessed the incident were reportedly transferred, guards were rotated, and internal communication logs were wiped within hours. It's almost as if the system was trying to erase the event before the world could even register it. And that's where the real story begins. According to multiple inside sources, Diddy's assault wasn't a random prison brawl, it was an orchestrated act, carefully timed and quietly executed. The inmate responsible wasn't some street rival or disgruntled fan. Word is, the attacker had been transferred into Diddy's block only a week prior, and get this, the transfer order came from an unknown higher authority, bypassing the normal security protocol. That doesn't happen by accident. So the question is, who wanted Diddy to get that message, and what was that message supposed to be? People close to the music mogul have long believed that his biggest asset and his biggest threat has always been information. The so-called tape theory isn't just gossip anymore. Former bodyguard Gene Deal, industry insiders, and even a few ex-employees have all said the same thing. Diddy didn't just throw wild parties, he recorded them. Cameras hidden in corners, behind mirrors, under tables capturing celebrities, executives, and even political figures doing things that could destroy their reputations overnight. And when you control that kind of material, you don't just have power, you have enemies. Ever since federal agents raided his Miami and Los Angeles properties, sources claimed they confiscated over 200 surveillance devices, hard drives, and computers. Yet, despite the massive evidence haul, none of that footage has ever been seen in court. The prosecution used Cassie Ventura's recordings to build their case, but the files from Diddy's own homes vanished. It's as if those tapes never existed. Or worse, they were too dangerous to expose. That's what makes this attack so chilling. Because if someone wanted Diddy dead, they could have made that happen easily inside prison walls. But this wasn't an attempt to kill, it was a reminder. A message from the shadows, warning him what happens if he decides to start talking. One former law enforcement officer who worked briefly at the embassy told reporters off record that high-profile inmates like Combs are rarely touched unless someone powerful wants it to happen. He didn't elaborate, but the implication was clear. This wasn't spontaneous. Now, let's look at who stands to lose the most if Diddy ever decides to talk. Start with the music industry's upper circle names like Jay-Z, who's already been linked to Diddy through multiple allegations and shared business ventures. Then there's Lucian Grange, the Universal Music Group executive, who's quietly mentioned in whispers whenever Diddy's empire is dissected. Add to that the long list of politicians and billionaires who have attended his infamous black parties. If even one of those names surfaced in Diddy's testimony or leaked footage, it wouldn't just end careers, it could collapse empires. And perhaps that's why the Bureau of Prisons is being so tight-lipped. Because if the attack was coordinated to keep Diddy silent, that means the influence of this story extends far beyond a single celebrity scandal. It means there are powerful people, who are terrified of what Diddy might say. There's another strange development, too. The same day as the attack, one of Diddy's longtime attorneys, a man who'd been by his side since the early Bad Boy Records era, quietly withdrew from the case. No public explanation, no statement, just gone. A few hours later, a new name appeared in the court filings, a federal public defender assigned temporarily. That kind of shift only happens when a client becomes too hot to handle privately. So what was really going on behind those locked cell doors? Some insiders believe Diddy might have been planning to cooperate with investigators, maybe to trade information for a reduced sentence or better protection. But if that's true, the attack could have been a preemptive strike, a warning from the outside world to stop before he speaks. And it wouldn't be the first time someone in a high-profile case got that kind of message. Remember what happened to Jeffrey Epstein? The same whispers surrounded his suicide. Too convenient, too quiet, too neat. The similarities are hard to ignore. Diddy's legal troubles involve celebrities, trafficking allegations, and possible political connections. If there are tapes that tie other elites to his crimes, that makes him a ticking bomb in a system built on silence. It's telling that since his sentencing, no major celebrity has publicly supported Diddy. Not Jay-Z, not Usher, not even the ones who once called him a mentor. It's as if the entire industry collectively decided to disappear. But silence speaks volumes, and in this case, it screams fear. Every time something new surfaces about this case, it feels less like a trial and more like a cover-up unraveling in real time. And now, with Diddy sitting in isolation, recovering from an attack that no one wants to acknowledge, it's clear this isn't about justice anymore. This is about control. Because when you've got a man behind bars who holds the secrets of the powerful, the question isn't if they'll come for him, it's how long he can survive before they do it again. By the time the story of Diddy's prison assault reached mainstream outlets, it was already sanitized, edited, and stripped of every inconvenient detail. A few headlines here and there called it a minor altercation. Some reporters mentioned tensions among inmates. But the deeper layers, the timing, the motives, the silent reshuffling of staff, vanished from the narrative overnight. And that's where this story stops being about one man's fall from grace and becomes something much darker. The system's desperate attempt to protect itself. Inside Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, surveillance cameras are everywhere. Every corridor, every cell block, every movement is recorded. Yet somehow, the footage of the alleged attack on Sean Diddy Combs has not been released, not even to his own legal team. Prison officials claim the camera malfunctioned during the exact minute the fight broke out. Think about that. In a federal facility that houses high-risk inmates, the cameras just happened to stop working when one of the most high-profile prisoners in the country was attacked. Either this is the most unfortunate coincidence imaginable, or it's a carefully planned blackout. Former correctional officers have said this isn't the first time something like this has happened. When a story needs to disappear, the footage does too. And with the level of attention surrounding Diddy's conviction, the silence isn't protecting him, it's protecting everyone else. Now, what's truly unsettling is what came next. Within 48 hours of the attack, Diddy's visitors list was frozen. Even his legal representatives were reportedly denied entry for several days, while officials claimed they were conducting an internal review. According to one anonymous source inside the facility, the review was nothing more than a smokescreen. The real purpose was to buy time to comb through his possessions, search his communications, and possibly delete or confiscate anything that could tie this assault to outside players. It's a move that echoes a familiar pattern, the kind we've seen before with powerful figures who know too much. The same pattern that surrounded the mysterious deaths of people connected to Jeffrey Epstein, the sudden retirements of prosecutors in the R. Kelly and Weinstein cases, and the abrupt silencing of key witnesses who once spoke out about celebrity abuse rings. Each time we're told to move on, each time the truth fades behind polished press statements and legal jargon. But the question everyone keeps asking is this: why is Diddy still alive? If the attack was meant as a warning, then it worked. Reports say he's now being kept in near total isolation, away from both inmates and most of the staff. He doesn't talk much, he doesn't eat much, and when he does speak, guards say his tone has changed, quieter, almost resigned. One insider said he's a man realizing his power means nothing anymore. Yet even in silence, Diddy remains dangerous because as long as he breathes, those tapes could still exist somewhere. You see, when federal agents raided his properties, they took computers, drives, and hundreds of hours of recorded footage. But what if that wasn't everything? What if Diddy, paranoid and calculating as ever, had backups hidden elsewhere? Some sources believe he kept encrypted copies with people he trusted, ready to be released if something ever happened to him. And if that's true, the people who once protected him might now be racing against time to make sure those files never see daylight. In the weeks since his sentencing, More names have quietly started disappearing from Diddy's orbit. Business partners have sold off stakes in shared ventures. Celebrities who once partied with him are now scrubbing old photos from social media. Even long-time allies in the industry have gone completely silent. Jay-Z and Beyoncé have reportedly moved to distance themselves publicly, with sources close to their camp saying they don't want to be caught in the fallout. Meanwhile, whispers of a federal grand jury expansion have started surfacing online. Some claim prosecutors are reviewing connections between Diddy's businesses, shell companies, and offshore accounts tied to other entertainment figures. If that's true, Diddy's downfall might just be the beginning, the first domino in a chain reaction that could pull back the curtain on how power, money, and corruption intertwine in the highest levels of music and media. And yet, the mainstream press stays eerily quiet. No investigative reports, no documentaries, just silence. Why? Because if the truth about Diddy's empire comes out, if those recordings ever leak, it won't just ruin a few reputations. It could expose the machinery that built modern celebrity culture itself. Think about it. How many artists suddenly rose and fell under mysterious circumstances? How many careers were made overnight through deals that no one could explain? How many times did we hear rumors of wild parties, exploitation, and manipulation, only for them to vanish after a few payouts and NDA? Diddy's story isn't just about one man's crimes. It's a reflection of an entire system that rewards silence, protects predators, and destroys anyone who tries to break free. And if what happened inside that jail cell was truly a warning, then maybe it's not just Diddy who's in danger, maybe it's everyone who's ever known what he knows. The more you look at the timeline, the more it feels like a script we've seen before, one that always ends the same way, with the truth buried, the powerful protected, and the public distracted. But here's the thing about secrets: they don't stay buried forever. The tapes, the names, the networks, they're out there. And if Diddy really did build his empire on blackmail, manipulation, and fear, then every person who helped cover for him is now scrambling to erase the evidence before it finds its way into the light. Because once it does, this won't just be Diddy's downfall. It will be the collapse of an entire empire built on darkness. And if that happens, no amount of silence will save them.